Welcome back to another episode of the Iron Pulse podcast. Today, Kyle and I are going to be discussing red meat, some of the upsides and the downsides of consuming it, because there are both pros and cons. So, Kyle, would you like to kick us off?
Yeah. I can't ask me what topic we should do today, and I was actually making a steak for lunch, so I was like, why don't we just talk about the benefits of red meat? And so, there's a lot of good things about it. It's very low in calories, obviously, because it's a piece of meat, so there's not any carbs. You get, in 8 ounces, if you have an 8-ounce steak, that's 52 grams of protein and only 6 grams of fat, which if you're looking to go into bodybuilding or you want some type of healthy meal, that's a really good ratio of protein compared to fats, and it's only 265 calories for that. So it's, a pretty decent sized portion meal that's going to take it's going to take longer to digest, so it'll keep you full for a long amount of time. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can make it. You can pair it with a bunch of different things, and I guess that's one of the pros of steak.
Right. Yeah. I mean, definitely red meat in all facets provides protein, right? Like you had mentioned, so that's going to help lead to muscle gain. It's also pretty high in iron, and it has a lot of vitamins, including B12. And then also there's a lot of zinc in there, and what zinc does is it helps keep the immune system working properly. But a little bit of a downside is that it is high in saturated fat, which does raise your blood cholesterol. So people that already have like high cholesterol need to watch what they're consuming in terms of like red meat, right? So they need to watch how much they're consuming with red meat. So you don't want to increase that risk of any heart disease. In terms of like how much you should be eating, then it's going to vary. It's going to vary like per person. To Kyle's point, like you could have
probably no right or wrong answer.
Right, like 3, 4, 5 ounces daily. So I think that the American Institute for Cancer Research said that you should have no more than 18 ounces of cooked red meat a week. So how you decide to split that up, you can split it up. But if we're talking farmers, I'm sure that there's people out there on the home range that have been eating red meat with, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So for years.
Or cow. Can you imagine if we told cow not to eat steak every day?
Right. But if you are out at a restaurant or somewhere and you would like some advice on what you should get, look for maybe like a sirloin. You could do pork tenderloins, even like lamb and loin chops is also a red meat as well. So the preface of that is loin tends to be the leanest of the red meat cuts. So just a little bit of helpful information there. When it comes to grass-fed, that's also leaner than any grain-fed. So this will make it lower in total fat and saturated fat. And it'll also contain a little bit more of your omega-3 fatty acids, which are, healthy. You do need those to survive. Kyle, other than that, I mean, we've talked a little bit about the downside. I think that a lot of people, they believe like red meat can lead to, cancer. It can lead to heart failure and heart attacks, which, I mean, I guess that it can be. I think that there are links. I don't think that it's necessarily the go-to reason as to why you would have like a heart attack or, why you could get some forms of cancer. But it definitely doesn't help if that's all that you consume. If you don't have a well-balanced diet and your main source of protein is red meat, you are going to be on the upper end, on the higher side of being more susceptible to some forms of cancer or a heart disease. So it's just something to be wary of. Even with pork, because pork, we see pork as a pretty lean meat. But there's like an argument, well, is that a red meat? Is it a white meat? It actually is considered a red meat. So just to also put that on everybody's radar. But if you're eating like frozen meat patties or like McDonald's or Wendy's every day, that could lead to some issues.
Also, I would say that's a different type of red meat. If we're talking red meat on health and nutrition, it's pretty much like, a steak that you would make or get at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I guess it is all red meat, but obviously at McDonald's,
I don't even know what type of meat that is.
Obviously gonna probably have more. Yeah, it might not even be red meat.
I mean, I don't know. I've never worked at fast food, and I'm sure that there's some not so good stuff that goes on. But that's like the big thing is like frozen patties. They're like, oh, like look, we have frozen patties. Like, okay, what was it before? Like, I know it's not fresh. I don't know. I'm not a big fast food person, Kyle. I know you're not really a big fast food person either. But especially when it comes to like McDonald's, it's just it's terrible.
Yeah.
Not good, not good. So, there are benefits, like we had talked about, for consuming red meat. I think that red meat should be in everybody's diet, if it's something that you enjoy, because it does have added values and benefits. You just need to be aware of your body, and in terms of like, if you or like your family has had heart disease and other heart conditions in the past, then you need to be pretty aware of how much you're consuming in terms of red meat. That would be something you should talk to your doctor with, and he'd probably recommend like more lean meats, like fish and chicken. That's going to help you go a lot further, I think. Well, they both build muscle, right? But also, Kyle, I think we haven't really talked about like just the creatine that red meat gets.
Yeah, that was my next point.
Oh yeah, sorry. Or you can take it, dude. Take it away.
No, you're good. I was just waiting for a lapse in the discussion. But yeah, creatine is also in red meat, and I would suggest probably, even if you are taking creatine as a supplement, because it is like one of the only scientifically proven supplements to actually work, just keep taking it. But there is also a good amount of creatine in red meats. So with creatine, the main thing with that is it just kind of helps you retain water, so you're holding on to a little bit more weight. You'll probably make you gain a couple pounds, but the main benefit from having that creatine storage in your muscles is that whenever you're at the gym, it'll give you more energy, so you can complete more reps without getting as fatigued. So there's a lot of benefits to creatine, and one of the most natural sources, other than the supplement brands that you'd get at the stores, is definitely found in different types of red meat.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's all I really had on this topic for today.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
Nope. Just
yeah, be aware of your diet.
Eat some steaks, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Go eat some red meat if that's what you want. I mean, it is delicious. Just be aware and make sure that you have a well balanced diet. You don't want it too heavy in the meat department. So, this is why when we talk about calculating your macros is 3. It's not 1, right? It's carbs, fats, and protein. It's not just protein. So you need to also be aware of the other 2 outside of red meat. But we hope that you found some value in this podcast. Please feel free to share with your friends and families. As always, thank you for taking the time to listen. You can come be a part of Envision Nation on our Discord. You can drop the podcast emoji and get a $10 gift card. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Pinterest at Official Iron Pulse. If you prefer email, you can still subscribe to the Iron Pulse Report by visiting shopironpulse.com. And remember, no matter what you do, be all in.